Well, if Donald Trump's going to put Elon Musk at the center of all of his domestic and foreign policy, then Elon Musk is going to be the subject of multiple lawsuits. We're 17 days into the administration. There's two major lawsuits involving Elon Musk, one with him prying into the Office of Personnel Management and their servers and making data at risk to being co-opted and being purloined. And then we've got him rummaging around the Treasury Department's hyper secret sensitive information about your and my medical data and financial information sitting on the IRS servers, sitting on the disability servers, sitting on the Social Security servers. Why does he get to go through all of that? Well, that's what two federal judges want to know. We already have a restraining order in one of the cases, and we cover it all in a place I like to call Legal AF, the podcast. Take a listen to the After Dark edition. So inside those 32 cases are also the ones that's getting everybody upset, which is Elon Musk. We said at the top of the administration after the election that after seeing the remit that Donald Trump was willing to give Elon Musk and the one he was willing to give RFK Jr. if he ever gets confirmed, pardon me, what was left for Donald Trump to do? It looked like Elon Musk was going to be the president and about everything technological, payments, budget, and foreign, and government contracting. And RFK Jr. was going to do the rest. Medicare, Medicaid, health policies, and everything else that makes the economy hum. And now it's sort of coming into fruition because Donald Trump's just thrown the keys to the government over to Donald Trump and said, over to Elon Musk and said, oh, you want to go rummage around the servers that control the payment system? For those that thought, where is Vivek Ramaswamy when you need him? He was like, oh, well, we'll never touch Social Security and Medicare. Oh, I'm double parked, everybody. See ya. And he left before the inauguration. Remember, there were three co-heads of Doge. Howard Lutnick, who's now the Commerce Secretary, who stood there in a picture with Elon Musk and some, weird, like Jeff Bezos too tight T-shirt thing with their arms folded, talking about how they're going to slash and burn the federal budget and entitlements and all that. He's gone. And then Vivek Ramaswamy was like, I'm out. And it left Musk, who lost the battle to get his office in the White House. Is over next door at another office building.
He sleeps there, by the way.
Well, he's crazy, and he brought in all his people from the.
You mean his 23-year-olds?
Yeah, and all his 14 kids named X or whatever they are, and right, brings them all in, and now talk about the crossing the Rubicon's not the right metaphor. I never thought I would see the day that the Treasury Secretary completely bent over and gave Elon Musk, subject to court orders, gave Elon Musk the keys to the Bureau of Financial Services, which is the entity that nobody ever heard of, but now we can't stop talking about it, which controls two things: revenue coming into the United States to the tune of $4.8 trillion, which primarily comes from income tax and foreign income tax and corporate income tax payments, a little bit of tariff. And I'll talk about tariffs in a minute, and pays out based on congressional allocation to individual taxpayers who've earned their food stamp and Medicare, Medicaid, disability, and all the rest of that about the same amount. So like the back and forth is about $10 trillion worth of payments that go through this one office, right? And so you got that. So he let him in to take control of the servers. On those servers are your and my, especially yours, Karen, private financial information that makes it a crime if anybody reviews your IRS information, anything related to your disability, medical information that supports pay. It's all there on the servers, and it is a crime to access it. Not only did Musk try to access it, leading to a guy quitting over it who'd been doing this job, just making donuts for 30 years, getting payments out, making sure they're on time, making sure the trains are on time. He's like, I'm out. First, he resisted, and then he said, I retire. Boom, he's gone. But Musk then turned it over to another third-party contractor nobody's ever heard of, to let him rummage around the servers and muck up the works.
I heard they brought in their own servers to, their own like computers that they hooked up to it and run through them. I mean, talk about, just not to interrupt, but do you remember how upset they were getting about Hillary's emails? And Hillary's email
server in the basement?
Yeah, the email, exactly. Her email server in the basement. And meanwhile, they're just bringing in their extra
vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, it's like their extra Tesla, you walk them in with your computers and you plug them in, and you're using those for all of our sensitive information. And you joke about, especially you, Karen. But when I think about I'm thinking about somebody, a very close family member who receives SSDI because they are disabled. And
my mother gets Social Security.
This is people. And when I think about what amount of information we had to provide in order to qualify, it is the most personal, the most sensitive medical and other information that they make you give in order to get these government entitlements. To think that somebody like Elon Musk, who's not Senate confirmed, who is not been vetted in any way, who has actual conflicts of interest that we're going to dive into, and brings in, again, his team of 6 25-year-olds who, again, just kind of, they all sleep. They're all expected to sleep in the office and work 7 days a week, and they just plug in and do whatever.
Foosball and a keg.
Exactly. And just to think that they're in there going through all of our sensitive private information, it actually makes me kind of sick to my stomach to think about.
And they're trying to do through the back door, which they can't accomplish in the front door because they've been enjoined in these temporary restraining orders from cutting off funding. Well, one way to cut off funding and attack the $3 trillion of that amount that goes to people on Social Security, disability, veterans payments, student loans, and the like, is to slow down the check payment. And he actually had the balls to say out loud that they were justified to go in there because in their interview with the Bureau of Financial Services, that's been in one form or another in our Congress, in our government since 1937 by FDR. It got put together in one agency by Tim Geithner, the former Treasury Secretary, I think in 2012. But we've had this thing forever. And he said, I asked them, have you ever denied printing a check or making a direct deposit because of some fraud? And they said, no. Because, no? You pay fraudulently? No, idiot. That's the argument they want to make. That's the narrative, false narrative they want to make. It's not up to the checkbook to decide whether the payee that's being paid is a fraud or not. It's up to the inspectors general that Trump just fired from the various agencies and has not replaced to root out fraud and corruption within an individual payment process or system. That's what they get paid to do. Okay. And then people can also report fraud. There's other ways to catch fraud. There's investigations, the FBI. But when you hollow out all of our investigative agencies and you fire all of our attorneys general, and then you expect the paymaster, the checkbook, to investigate fraud, this is money allocated by Congress. They have the purse strings, not the executive branch. And for Bissett, who had a very tearful confirmation hearing that actually touched me a little bit. He's like the first openly gay Treasury Secretary. He had his husband there, as a way for the Trumpers to say, see, we're okay with LGBT or some version of it. See, he's the first openly gay Treasury guy. And I was like, well, that's sort of touching. And now he's just going to turn over the keys to Elon Musk and let him root around in there. Not if federal judges have their way. Not if federal judges have their way, like Judge Catelli. So we've got multiple lawsuits against Elon Musk, particularly that he doesn't have the right to invade privacy or to exploit. It's a crime, that it is against the IRS regulations, that it is against due process and the rest, and Administrative Procedures Act. And Bissett, as the Treasury Secretary, doesn't have the right to delegate authority of this nature to somebody like Elon Musk. And those are up with judges now in two separate cases, one about Elon Musk controlling the Office of Personnel Management server to try to fire people through it with an address, and also have access and make insecure all that server data, which is a lot of private information again. So it's data breach, privacy breach. And then you've got the lawsuit, which Judge Catelli has right now. We're waiting for the Department of Justice for Trump to file their response. She's given them till tonight to say, will you agree to keep Elon Musk away from those servers and not use any of the data that he might have obtained? Or do I have to issue an injunction? Let me know by the end of the night tonight. And I think that's perfect. It's a great way to trap the Trump administration and also call out how I was going to say unreliable, how untrustworthy the Trump administration's Department of Justice is. Any self-respecting prosecutor, like or member of the Department of Justice, would say, "Of course, we'll hold the ring until the court has time to handle this matter. You don't have to do anything rash. We'll do it." But that's not going to be their position. I'd be shocked if that's their position. So she'll use it against them when they trip over the wire she set for them. So that's where we are. Anything else you want to add to Elon Musk?
Yeah. Elon Musk gets under my skin more than almost anyone else in the Trump world for the following reasons. First of all, he is not appointed and he has not gone through any confirmation hearing. He is not, he's just sort of, he's getting around the requirements that are typically there. If you want to head an agency, first of all, you have to create the agency, but instead they put Doge under, they sort of subsumed the IT department in the White House and made that Doge. And so they're trying to get around having to create a new agency that way. And they're not going through the process of nominating someone, getting the advice and consent of the Senate, and then having that person be put into the head of the agency, which would then be managed by the executive branch, managed by the president. But agencies are created through Congress. They are appropriated through Congress. Congress creates them. They pay their salaries. They appropriate money to them. And they literally make the decisions about whether to cut the checks or not and how to make that work. And so they're getting around all of that by just saying, oh, he's just helping out kind of thing. It's like he's not going through all the checks and balances that go there. Instead, I think they're using what is called a special government employee. And there's a law that talks about a special government employee, or an SGE as they call it. And it's an officer or employee in the executive branch of the federal government who's appointed to perform important but limited services to the government with or without compensation for a period not to exceed 130 days. So it's interesting because it also has to do with the ethics rules apply slightly differently to the SGEs than they do to other normal government employees. But let's just talk a little bit about ethics and conflicts of interest. This is what gets under my skin. So first of all, he's getting around all of that. So, his big thing is we spend too much money, we spend too much money, we spend too much money, we want more efficiency. Well, you can't argue with that conceptually, right? Efficiency is good, taxpayer dollars, you want to spend you want to spend that gingerly, you don't want to waste any of that, you don't want fraud, etc. So no one disagrees with the concept. But he is slashing essential services. He is taking the money, first of all, forgetting the fact that it's lawless, because this is money that Congress has appropriated for these purposes. But there are decades of reasons why these things happen, whether it's goodwill, whether it's helping people, whether it's programs, whether it's things that we've learned through the years that are good. And so we have, it's not easy to pass a law or get money appropriated for something. And he's really just doing away with all of this, saying it's wasted money. And then he has the 25-year-old press secretary stand outside and reading, oh, well, we paid for DEI here and we paid for this there, and she's picking out some ridiculous ones that I'm sure sound ridiculous. And no one would say, oh, well, I don't want my money going to that. You could see someone saying that, but we need to come out, Popok, and talk about the stories of the people who are affected, who I think, who are really impacted by this, and the real people who are impacted by this. And it's really people who need it, right? Anyone who gets government money, as you said before, it's like the not-for-profits. It's the people who are struggling, or the people who need this funding that has been appropriated. Those are the ones who are going to be hurt the worst. And the thing that drives me crazy about Musk is he probably receives more than anyone else in the United States, more government money than anyone. More tax levy dollars go into Elon Musk's pockets than any other human being, I would argue, in the United States of America. I could be wrong, but I bet I'm not. With the number of defense contracts that he has, those are all taxpayer dollars. And so he has the biggest conflict of interest of all. I would love to see, is he going to slash money from that's going to affect him and his pocket? It's this country's taxpayer dollars that have allowed him to become the richest man in the world. That is our money.
I think he's got $3 billion worth of contracts and about a dozen contracts currently.
Currently. Okay. But if you look over time, I bet it's a lot more. And guess what? He's the one who decided, you know what I want? I want to send people to Mars, and that's his.
Karen, with all due respect, I don't know why you're worried about this, because Carolyn Levitt, the press secretary, who I trust implicitly, as soon as she opens her mouth, I'm instantly comforted. She said today that we should not worry as American people because Elon Musk is going to decide for Elon Musk whether there's any conflicts of interest. Don't you feel better now?
Kind of like Clarence Thomas, right? I'll let you know if there's a conflict here, if I, take things from my Nazi billionaire friend. But this even makes Clarence Thomas look like, okay, yeah, he goes on vacations every once in a while. What's the big deal? This is lining Elon Musk's pockets with billions of dollars to play with his toys, to go up into outer space, right? I care much more about helping people who are unhoused or people who are disabled or people who are in this country who actually need my taxpayer dollars. That's what I want to spend money on. Or diversity, right? I care about diversity. I think it's an important thing. I hate that DEI has been being used as some kind of terrible word. DEI is what empowers people, and I just think that their messaging is terrible. Meanwhile, we are forgetting the fact that he is the one who's lining his own pockets with our taxpayer dollars. Oh, yeah. And that message I think that is what has to be hammered home. And no, I don't feel more comfortable that he is going to decide what's a conflict or not, because it really upsets me that my tax dollars are going to him so that he can send his little rocket ships up into space because he thinks that's fun with his friends.
Yeah, we've basically delegated from NASA we've outsourced our space program to Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. And that's only going to continue. If he made
our satellite program.
Yeah. If he made $3 billion during the last administration, and that's why when people say, why is he taking on Europe and why is he writing all this? Because Europe has been regulating the crap out of Musk, and he hates Europe and the European Union, and he wants them to get off his back and let him do all the crazy things with Starlink and with Tesla. He builds his batteries and he builds his cars a lot in China, not in Mexico and not in Canada. So if you want to look for warped policy, just all roads lead back to Elon Musk. Look, he bought a presidency. He spent $200 million to get Donald Trump elected. And he's gotten $200 billion already in net worth accumulation between his Bitcoin holdings, his cryptocurrency holdings, and that of Tesla since that time. That's a return on investment that's eye-popping and eye-watering, while there are people in our audience that if they miss their next Social Security payment or food stamp payment are going to live on the street. Well, welcome back. Where else are you going to find out about the intersection of law and politics and legal AF on a regular basis? It's like a TED Talk meets a law school class. It's every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Midas Touch Network. And then we do clips over here on the Legal AF YouTube channel as well. Subscribe to both. Try to get Midas Touch to 4 million subscribers after 5 years. Try to get, no competition, but try to get Legal AF YouTube channel to 500,000 after 5 months. Let's do that together. But I look forward to you. If you know about Legal AF, you're part of our audience. Really appreciate you. If you don't know about us, that is Legal AF, full-length episodes, about an hour long, Wednesdays and Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Karen Friedman, Agnifilo, and me on Wednesdays. Saturdays, it's Ben Mycelis and me. And then we do hot takes like this about every hour at the intersection of law and politics. So until my next reporting, this is Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.